We don't just have an information problem. We have a gravity problem. And there's a reason certain stories, I think, that hit us so hard. Stephen King, Stranger Things, Blast from the Past, Picnic at Hanging Rock, is all because they bring gravity back. When I say gravity, I don't just mean seriousness or pessimism. I mean feeling that actions lead to consequences, that choices matter, that time moves forward and it remembers what happened. And but modern life floats. Feats don't end, arguments don't resolve. Identity is something that you perform, right? Instead of discover. And you can say one thing and do another. The system often rewards you for it. When cause and effect weaken like that, people don't become free, they become anxious. And when people are anxious, they grab whatever story gives them relief. Good stories do something to our nervous system that we recognize immediately. They restore cause and effect. In a good story, if you like, something breaks. If you betray someone, then it costs you. If you face fear, you change. And if you don't, it grows. And that's not morality, that's navigation. For most of human history, stories weren't entertainment, they were training people how the world actually works without killing them in the process. That's why bad stories feel empty. They float. And good stories have weight. I didn't arrive at this idea through theory. I ran out of things to watch. The algorithm handed me my childhood, Stranger Things, a new Stephen King series, and then Picnic at Hanging Rock. At first I thought, this is just nostalgia, but it wasn't comforting, and these stories felt heavy, serious, real in a way that sometimes adult life doesn't. And that's when it clicked for me. It wasn't the era that mattered, it was the structure. Sit down, bud. Stay with me. Picnic at Hanging Rock is about meaning collapse. Picnic at Hanging Rock isn't a mystery. It's a warning. A confident Victorian world, this is about. Rules, hierarchy, the certainty collides with something that it can't explain. The girls disappear, authority tries to interpret, and meaning fails. There's no neat answer. And it was on purpose. The story isn't about what happened. It's about what happens after meaning collapses. People scramble for explanation and they look for blame. They fracture. And that's not an old problem. That's us. People think that Stephen King writes about monsters. He does, but he doesn't. He writes about what happens when fear goes unmanaged inside systems, families, towns, schools, workplaces. The monster is almost never the cause. It's the symptom that shows up after people stop paying attention. Adults in his stories aren't evil. They are, but they're not. They protect roles instead of people. They manage appearances instead of reality. They look away. Kids see the danger first, and not because they're wiser, but because they haven't learned how to disassociate yet. There's a scene in the series that makes this really explicit. A girl watches a video about a parasite that infects a snail. It doesn't kill it, it actually changes the behavior of the snail, and it makes the snail crawl into danger, get eaten. Later, under pressure to belong, her worst fear, takes shape. She imagines her eyes turning into grotesque snail eyes, and she tries to cut them off with a bandsaw. And then the reveal. The parasite wasn't in her body. It was in her belief. It was in her need to belong so much that she was willing to betray friends. Something deeply human, and it had become parasitic. And that's not fantasy. That's what self-defeating beliefs do. Most of us don't destroy ourselves dramatically. We do it quietly. Look, here's the hard truth. The future won't negotiate with your coping strategies, right? AI won't respect your perfectionism. Automation won't reward your overwork. And if your self-worth is tied to achievement, status, being useful, the coming years are going to test you really hard. And if your inner voice is already cruel, well, then you're not waiting for the future. It's already here, and you're already living in it. Good stories don't ask, is this belief true? They ask, where does this belief take you? We don't lack information. We lack gravity. And the kids in these stories, in every good story, are still trying to tell us something. Pay attention. Not what I say it means, but to what's happening in your life, in your body, in your choices. Decide for yourself.